Hey guys, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin and I am a writer. I am working on several fantasy pieces, so I decided to do this world building vlog to kind of go through some of the things that I've had to think about while building my fantasy worlds. So today's topic is the basics of magic. We're going to go over how to figure out a basic magical system for your fantasy world. So magic is one of the biggest perks about writing fantasy, and you have so many possibilities to work with. There are dozens of types of magic, but we're just going to focus on the setup of a magical system in this vlog, and we'll go into some more in-depth topics with the next three. This is going to be a four-parter. We're going to cover basics, healing, combat, and animals and shapeshifting. So first things first, you want to figure out where does your magic come from and how is it expressed. Do you need rituals to invoke magic, or is it an easily accessible thing for magic users? Do you have an ultimate power source that magic users are tapping into, or is magic as a power coming from the individual? You also want to figure out how much energy does it take to wield different types of magic, and also what effect it has on the magic users. So if you're going to have a physical effect, most commonly you're going to run across things like nosebleeds, fainting, fatigue, that will come into play from excessive magic use. If magic is coming from the individual, then you're going to want to figure out how quickly does the magical energy deplete and how can it be replenished. If you're wanting to use things like magical artifacts, which come in a lot of varieties like jewelry, weapons, that sort of thing, then you're going to want to know how are these created, how accessible are they to the average person, can non-magic users employ the magic that is within these items. You can be really flexible with the items that you're using. Just decide what can hold magic, what works best for it, and you can employ literally anything as a magical artifact. One of the most basic things you need to figure out is how much magic exists in your world. You can limit your world to only specific types of magic. Say, for example, the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe, which has elemental magic. Or you can require people to use tools for magic casting, such as wands in Harry Potter. Or you can only have things like tarot cards, pendulums, basic divination tools that anyone can use, but it's not necessarily a visible magical phenomena. Once you figured out kind of the basics of how much magic you're going to have, figure out how integrated into society it is. Can people tell when magic is being used? Is there a way to mask magic use? Is magic a hidden thing in your world, or is it openly integrated into how society functions? If you're going to have magical segregation of any kind, is this going to be between magic users and non-magic users, or is it going to function within the magical community itself based on what type of magic people practice? I've seen this go usually one of two ways. The magical community is often represented as a marginalized community. They are a lot smaller in numbers than the rest of the population and usually keep themselves fairly secret. And the other alternative is that the magic users are top tier. They are the rulers of whatever society simply because they have magic, which makes them stronger than the average human and able to impose their will. Decide if you're going to have any illegal forms of magic. Usually the most common with these are going to be necromancy and blood magic for obvious reasons. But you can also set it up to have other varieties of magic that are illegal, or alternatively, you can make all magic illegal. This sets up an automatic conflict if magic is illegal and one of your characters happens to be born a magic user. If you still want to have magic be controlled but not illegal, then you can set up registries and all that sort of thing to make sure that it is strictly controlled and monitored. In regards to your characters with magic, is it something that they are born with? Is it something that they can acquire? Are there types of magic that run in families? Assuming magic is either fully legal or controlled somehow, what training and education is available to magic users in order to properly utilize and employ their powers? Who can receive training? How long do they train for, and what sort of training do they go through? You also want to figure out if training is mandatory. And what happens if someone either refuses training or slips through the cracks and doesn't know that they're a magic user or able to access the training. This is another thing that I see go kind of one of two ways, where either the person is never able to fully develop their magic because they didn't have the opportunity for training, or their powers will develop very erratically, which usually puts them at risk to themselves and others. One thing that can add a lot of tension to your story is if you remove the opportunity for magic to be undone or countered. If there's no such thing as counterspells, you can't undo curses, you can't undo magic once it is in place, then you are stuck with any impulse decision any magic user makes. Something along a similar line is dealing with curses. How are they handled and how are they managed? Do they apply only to a specific person or object, or is this something that can follow families through generations? And one additional note that is only semi-related is love potions. They're one thing I noticed that shows up in fantasies, and I have some pretty strong feelings about love potions because it removes the recipient's ability to properly consent. Which means that if you are giving someone a love potion, you are setting them up for a sexual assault. So please just consider that if you are including love potions in your story, and just realize that it affects consent of the recipients. So this is by no means an exhaustive list. We're gonna go into some more detail in the other vlogs coming up, but I hope that this is helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any questions, please send me a note. I'll put all my social media links in the description, and I will see you next week with another vlog. Bye!